You know how like when you go past a car crash, it's terrible that we all do it, but you kind of look anyway to see what has been holding you up and, oh, that's a bad one. I feel like that's what most of the people watch are clicking on part 2 of this session is all about.
Yeah. We said it in the first one, we have come back to where it all started, but then in this one we really have come back to where it all started.
Exact same swims.
This is the exact swim that you won in the first match, and just down there is a swim that I first lost in and built up my losing streak. But we don't know what swim we're in yet.
No, so we are going back to the lens slip for this one. And just to sort of catch up to speed, we got here probably a good hour and a bit ago, watched the water, didn't see much. There was 3 anglers fishing the exact swims we were in last week, so we went and chatted with them to start with, because they've been our eyes and ears whilst we haven't been here.
And they've had it off. No, they haven't.
Yeah, they've been here since Sunday and they've had 5 fish between them.
2 nights between 3 of them and they've had 5 fish. And again, just like we saw last week, they'd seen them over this side of the lake about 3-4 o'clock. A couple of the fish they had was by pinging singles out as far as possible towards them. So that kind of emphasised it enough that they are still in this area that we saw them last week.
Yeah, so despite we haven't seen them this morning, what they've said and what we saw last week all seems to point to the fact they want to be in front of these swims right now. But we need to decide which side of each of us are on, and also tell you how we're fishing on this trip as well. Because as you saw at the end of the last one, we did the random generator which decided how we're going to be fishing this one. So we'll get onto that in this trip, but it's different to how we were last time. But first of all, lens slip, you want to call it?
I will call it Sigma side down, and then I get to choose swim.
Okay.
God!
Why did you? I do not know why you never win these. Just to prove, I've just picked up as it was on the floor like that. Sigma side was facing up, so I get to choose. You know, I'm going to stick in there. I'm going to
predictable.
Just think this is where I had good time last time, fishing long.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Right, let's get the rods out. Let's fish more efficiently this time.
So we've given ourselves half an hour to get all the rods sorted, and I say all the rods because I've actually got 3 rods here. Now, it is normally a 2-rod venue, but when it's quiet in the winter, it's down to the bailiff's discretion that you can use 3 rods. So don't just turn up, put 3 out and hope for the best. Make sure you clear it with the bailiff if it is quiet, but he has given us permission, not special permission, but permission to use 3 rods each. So that's one thing to mention. Another thing is the fact that because last week was such a shambles, that didn't count as a complete match. So we are carrying Curly's, was it £20 2 ounces you had?
It is indeed, yeah.
£20 2 ounces into this match, so he is already a little bit ahead. So not only am I not in the preferred swim, I am also starting on the back foot. So I thought I'd get the excuses out there to start with, but yeah, half an hour, get the rods sorted, get the rods out.
Let's go. Right, that's time. I'm going to ignore the fact you've already got a rod out that you cast at the shower.
We don't need to talk about that one.
20 minutes already cheating. Now the match is officially going to start.
As you can probably see, I drew the short straw. I am method feeding. I'm actually quite excited about doing it because it's not something you do often. That's probably with good reason, but we'll see how it goes during this session. To start with, I've literally clipped both rods up at 15 wraps because I haven't seen a great deal. But I wanted just to get them out there, and if it's anything like last week, on dusk we will start seeing them and get a better gauge of where they actually are. But for now, it's a case of getting them out in the rough area that they have shown before. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So I'm going to get these 2 out. Joe's right, I did put a rod out slightly before the start time, and that's because a fish showed just past the buoy to my left, and it was too good an opportunity to miss. And that is exactly what that left rod is for. So I've got 2 on the method, and 1 just as a roving rod in case I see anything like that. And there's another one just showing further out actually. So I'll get the other method out. And then let's keep an eye on things really. I'm going to be redoing the methods probably about every half hour to start with, just to try and build up a bit of a base at that 15 wrap mark. And then I know that I've got somewhere concrete overnight to aim for as and when things happen.
Right, well, I've just heard Luke waffling away about his tactic. And as you'll probably be able to tell from the second cast and the look of the rigs, it's exactly the same, going in the same direction. And my tactic is 3 on a spot with bait over the top, which I've not done, I don't think, in this series, or at least not for a long time. And there's the second one. Oh, they must be 2 feet apart, if that. Donk. There's 2 out. I've got 1 more to go. And here we go with rod number 3. So before putting these rods out, I did just have a little cast about with the bare lead and the marker rod, and I cast quite far. I was feeling back. It all felt fairly regimented and smooth until I got to just 15.5 reps out, so not very far at all for the size of the lake, and it was skipping across gravel. So I thought, there's as good a spot as any. I'm going to start there, and once this rod's out, I'm going to introduce a bit of bait, but not go too heavy. Oh. I don't often fish this sort of method with 3 on a spot and bait over the top, but if this is anything to go by, those first 3 casts, I'm onto a winner, because those 3 have gone out within about 2 rod lengths of each other, which may sound like quite a lot actually when you put it in that way, but for me, that is nice and snug. So that's 3 fishing on the deck, high vis baits. I'm going to introduce quite a bit of bait at some point once I've got a few fish, but for now, I think just 5 to 10 spods of introducing a mix of bait, just to get some interest in the area and see where we go from there. If the fish start showing elsewhere, then I haven't put all my eggs in one basket by putting too much bait on one spot, and I can move around. There we go. 24 hours to go, Luke. You're already 20 pound, 2 ounce behind.
My method mix fell apart.
Brilliant. So it sounds like he's had a rotten start. And I'm fishing with 3.
Oh, that's all come off. I think I might need a little bit more water in that mix because it's a bit dry.
Oh, you should see these lines, Luke.
Bang on.
Bang on. Hang on, you had 1 rod out before the match started. I've got all 3 out and you still only got 2 on out there.
Well,
what's going on?
God's sake.
Oh, he's going to pour down.
I know.
Perfect timing. This is why you should always put your bivvy up first when fishing. Against popular belief.
Oh,
Whey!
really?
Good start. Right, I'm going to go get the shelter up. Enjoy that. Well, Luke and I have had the rods out for a good 20-30 minutes now, and unfortunately I haven't been able to get any bait out because as soon as that last rod went out and I went and checked how he's doing, the rain started coming in, and it's not stopped raining since. It's the lightest it's been for the last 20 minutes or so. So quickly run through the bait that I'm going to introduce once I pluck up the courage to get out and act like I'm not made of PVA. So in this mix, quite a few things in here that you'll recognise from what Luke was using last time. I'm using smaller bits, but differently to what he was using is I've tried to go quite visual as well. So in there, to start with, the base mix is just 12 and 50mm scopic squid, which I've covered in some of the scopic squid glug and also some of the worm cell. And I put all of that in yesterday and let it soak for the last 24 hours or so. I just left them in there with a few pellets as well. So all of the bait that was in there from yesterday should have soaked a lot of that in, so it's going to be kicking out a lot of pungent stuff. And that worm cell I've had for the last year or so, I found has done really well. It can kickstart a bit of a feeding response. I'm hoping that's the case when I introduce some of that. So that's the base mix. Then added to that to make it a bit more visual is I put a bag of sweet corn in there. I've got several bags with me, so if the sweet corn works, and I keep putting more of that out as well. It's a cheap, easy bait to use, high visual. And then I've also added some pink citrus. Again, 12mm boilies. So there's not really anything big in there. The biggest items are the 50mm scopic squid boilies. I've also added a couple little jars of the small seed mix, and then half a jar of oily hemp as well. So it's very similar to the mix that Luke was using last week, but I think this is just a bit more pimped up and it's going to do the business unlike his from last week.
I dislike
You dislike me? Okay, well, we'll see by the end of the session. I'll have a cup of tea.
Where's your mum?
Well, safe to say the start of this match is as fast and furious as last week.
Yeah, It has been a bit slow going, but just like last week, yeah, it's getting dark, but the rods have been out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's expecting a lot for it to be action-packed within the first 2 hours of a session, especially when I can't get the consistency right on this ground bait and it keeps pinging off everywhere.
That sounds like a you problem.
It very much is a me problem.
I've even tried to pull out my sort of ace card, if you like. I've put out a couple of pints of maggots.
Yeah, they're proper lively ones as well, aren't they?
I may have killed them slightly in a bucket overnight, but
Yeah.
some of them were still wriggling. So there's now 4 pints of maggots out there, topped up probably another 10 spods of actual baits. There's a good amount on that spot, which I said I wasn't going to do at the start. But as
you
we've
did
got
it.
nothing to go by. Oh,
Ah,
it stayed
see,
on.
go
Oh, a
on,
little
hit the
bit
clip.
came off.
Oh, I'm fine with that. It was about this time that we started seeing fish.
It was.
Believe it or not, it is 3 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, for what it's worth, the guys on the down wall, I haven't seen it and have anything.
No.
They're in the wind. The people that replaced the blokes we talked to this morning that are in pegs that we were in last time haven't had anything yet. So it's not like there's fish coming out elsewhere. We've seen 2 fish since being here and they've been over this side.
You making excuses already?
No, I'm saying from what we've seen,
Yeah,
we're still in the best spot I think we can be.
Oh, I think we are, yeah. Yeah, 100%. All right.
Well, I'll let you get your last one out. Shall I go grab the bovril?
I think it's time,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
time. It's time for a hot bovril. It is time. Not sponsored by Bovril.
Wish it was. Well, we're just sitting there having a cup of tea, and my right rod melted off. This is one of the method feeders. So if I'm honest, I didn't really expect it to be this one going. I thought it'd be the single to showing fish. But yeah, absolutely melted off, picked up, and it was still going. It feels all right. I've said this before on here. They always put up quite a good fight, to be fair. So I've got absolutely no idea what sort of size this might be. But hopefully I can get it in and we'll find out. And we're off the mark.
I'm not gonna lie, I know this is a match, but I'm so glad to see a rod go off.
It's been a bit tough going, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is something I'd never thought I'd say at Drayton. But after last week and then coming back this week and nothing happening in the light, we thought we were onto a similar sort of session, which we still might be. I'm kind of praying it's over £20 2 ounces. Because that means I end up taking the lead. Now, believe it or not, it is only about 5 o'clock as well, so if I get this in and if it is the start of something, I don't want to jinx it, I'm not saying it. We're going to cut it there. Did yours feel quite strong?
No, mine came in like a wet sock last week.
Did it?
Yeah.
He doesn't look anything massive, does he? But come on, get away from that. It's probably the light is shining on him that he's not happy about. The method feeder sitting proud. Yeah.
Oh, a fish. I'm actually relieved for us.
Come on. Not a blank.
Get it back out there, boy. 16.8 for me, 17.4 for you. And it is... $17.5.
Is it?
Yeah,
17.8.
17.8.
Cool. That'll do, isn't it? Well, oh, there you go. Well, there you go. 17.8 of Drayton. Well, there you go. £17 8 ounces of Drayton Mirror, and it's a very, very welcome fish after what happened last week. To be off the mark is, yeah, I'm very pleased with that. Hasn't quite caught Joe up, but it's made that gap a lot smaller. So one more fish from my end, and that will be taking the lead. So yeah, very happy with this. Hopefully, I'm not saying it either. No, hopefully it's a sign of things to come. I'll say it. But yeah, very happy. It's getting back. And just as I was starting to nod off, number 2 came along. Not quite as big this one. It was bang on £14, which puts me, I believe, to £31 8 ounces, which puts me a little bit ahead as opposed to Joe's £20 2 ounces, I believe he's on from last week. So does it even count? I don't know.
See, well, if that's the case, I'm starting to think that the last week I won then.
It counts so far.
If you want to play it that way.
We'll see what happens later in the session. But yeah, really nice to have a second one under my belt just before bed. I was actually just nodding off, and yeah, it's only about 10 o'clock, but long dark evenings, you end up falling asleep pretty quickly. But yeah, very cool to have a second one. Hopefully there's going to be more where this came from.
Are you saying that again? Sign of things to come. It's like the classic cliche, isn't it?
It's not a lot else to say about this one, is there?
Well, just settled in for the night myself, and this one had other ideas, and it doesn't look too bad either. So someone's sleeping down there, and I gotta go break the bad news to him, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. Oh, that's my groin gone again.
Oh God.
Oh.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I slipped. I'm gonna have to put, yeah, that's me done. I was meant to play football tomorrow night.
Oh.
That's my groin gone. Oh, I'm not even 30 yet, but I already feel it.
So you wake me up, you take the lead, you pull your groin, and then you want me to feel sorry for you.
Oh, I think he's done it.
That's all right. £4. 21.12.
Nice, even bigger than the other one. It's the length on this one, though, isn't it?
It is.
Sorry, Luke.
Oh,
If it's any consolation, I have done my groin, so...
it's some consolation. It still doesn't sweeten it. But at least we're both in pain.
I'll let you rub some deep heat on it if you want. I made that mistake once after I pulled it when I was younger. I've never jumped in the shower quicker.
I don't want to picture anymore, thank you.
There's an angry little elf behind the camera at the moment.
He's an angry elf.
Because I've just taken the lead again. Second bite of the double parser, and it's another 20, so it's £21 12 ounce. It's even bigger than last week's fish, sorry. And again, it's come just, well, 11:15, so within 45 minutes really of the bite time last week. Not that that has any correlation to anything that's going on, but I'll take it. If I can pick up the odd bite like this, 220s, put me back in the lead, and a healthy, what's that, £41, 14 ounces?
I'm not helping you.
So, lovely. Sorry, Luke. Go back to bed now, and dream about going back in the lead tomorrow maybe, but not today. You cannot write this. Just about to do stills of mine. As you can probably hear, Luke is away. Might be a long night at this rate.
He is going. Well, we couldn't even get any stills of Joe's.
I apologise for gloating too early.
Yeah, about to get a couple of photos of Joe's before slipping it back, and then mine just ended up steaming off. I didn't tell you, Joe, but basically the first 2 bites I had were on my right hand rod. So I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll leapfrog the middle one over, so it's a little bit further right.
Oh, so you're poaching on my water now?
No, not at all.
That's what you've just said.
But in the hope that obviously the fish were slightly to the right of where I was fishing, which is why the right hand rod kept going.
And my left hander went off, so I'd say the fish are just between us.
I think they're between us, but then it turns out that the middle rod, which is on the same spot that the first 2 came from, went, hey, it feels all right. doesn't feel too bad at all. I have no idea where he's going.
Just tighten the clutch and it will stop sounding so big.
Yeah, it does do that. I also don't want to end up pulling the hook. I don't know where he's taking me. Picked up the rod and it was just going and going. Like I just had to almost let it run its course before I could get any line back on it.
Tell you what, I'm so glad that all the action's coming thick and fast when we should be asleep, rather than all the daylight hours where we were twiddling our thumbs. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This is what we.
That's what we came for.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. What, you're in the lead, boy?
Well, I'm not sure. You were on what, 31 something?
And you're about 41.
I'm on about, well, I'm 42, just shy of 43.
Oh, he's bigger than a 10-pounder.
I reckon it's going to be really close.
I think it will. He's strong fish, though. I ain't caught for a while.
See you in the morning.
Well, just as I thought I was getting ahead last night, you decided to pull rank, put your foot down. So enough's enough, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, not overly happy.
Are you feeling as old as I am right now as well?
Yeah,
My knack's in my knack? That's meant to be my back is knackered, but my knack. My knackered's back.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, last night was a long one.
Yes.
Probably even slightly more so for you.
Yeah, I mean, it kicked off after you had that first fish. Did you have two on the bounce?
No, I had one at about 5, and then I had one about 10, and then that's when it kicked off.
Yeah, they definitely moved across to me and got on the baited spot because I had a flurry of action. At one point, I didn't think I had any rods in the water and a couple of fish to film. Should we go through the scores?
Let's go through it because it'll make a little bit more sense that way.
In the order that they were caught. So, of course, coming into this match, I was 20 pound, 2 ounce in the lead. At which point, as you just said, about 5-ish, half 5, you had your first one at 17 pound 8.
Yeah.
And there's a good few hours of nothingness again. We thought,
yeah,
we can't have another just one fish session. And it wasn't, because yours went off again. Same rod, wasn't it?
It was the same rod, yep.
14 pound. And then that's when one of mine went off.
Yeah.
21 pound 12. So that's 220s on the bounce.
Does it count as on the bounce if it's different weeks?
Wow. In the light of how we're doing the match, it's on the bounce. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care. There was 24 hours, 7 days apart. So that put me back in the lead, and then
I had another one.
you had another one. So you jumped back into the lead again.
I did. What was that? 18.4.
18 pound 4.
So that's where we cut the film in last night, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's where you might as well have just cut your lines as well.
Because that was it for me. Yeah.
So that leaves you on a score of 49 pound 12 ounce. But I didn't stop there, did I?
No, you didn't. I wanted to go to bed after that. But
yeah, I did. I did too, to be fair, but the fish woke up, got onto the bait, and I had a 19 pound 4. And then I had a 17 pound 10. And then another 20, a 21 pound 8 ounce. So I'm currently sitting on 101 pounds exactly.
Yeah, and
this brought us up. Is that the same score as you tied up? I did this about 2 AM last night after I put some more bait in.
I think it was. But then, yeah, that took us about 1 o'clock, didn't it?
It did.
And then completely dead after that. Nothing.
Completely switched off.
Not a touch, not a beat, nothing at all.
No, and after that flurry of action, I thought I'll introduce a bit more bait. So at 1:30 last night, I've never spotted at night, but I thought the amount of action that suddenly came in suggested that a big shoal of fish came through. And it wasn't a huge amount of bait I had out there, so I thought they may have cleared me out. So I introduced 10 spoms of bait and nothing.
Scared them off.
Scared them off, yeah, that's what it was. So this morning it's looking bleak again. If it wasn't for last night's action, we would be scratching our heads thinking, oh dear, we've got another borderline blank on our hands. But it's not. We have had a good number of fish. It'd just be nice to have some of the day, I think, now.
It would be, yeah.
Because, yeah, last night was cold and I'm absolutely knackered this morning, as I said.
Yeah. So it's only about 8 o'clock now in the morning, so we've still got, what, 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, good chunk of time.
24 hours is up, so yeah, loads of time to have some fish if they're on it. but so far I haven't seen much.
No, but we didn't see anything yesterday. Like
No.
last time we were here, over there last week, we saw countless fish rolling over this side. This time we've come round here, and we've seen a handful of fish rolling the whole time. But we've had them, so I think they are here or were, and it seemed they moved through. The fact that you had two, and then they got to me.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they went down that way last night and they could come back this morning. I don't know.
I don't know. The wind's picked up, if anything, isn't it? And it's
cold.
pushing down that way even stronger. So I imagine they're probably holding along the down wall.
It could be. I think I'm going to finish this coffee, introduce a bit more bait, even though I know those 10 spots didn't do anything last night. I think I feel more confident going into the last few hours with a bit more of a bed out there again.
Yeah.
Because if they do come across it like they did last night, there's every chance I could get another hit.
Yeah, there is, yeah. I've redone my method feeders because obviously going from, it's probably about, 11 o'clock my last fish.
Yeah.
So going from 11 o'clock at night until 7, half 7 on method feeders. Not going to leave it out there for the duration, so they're back out there again. And I think like yesterday, I'm going to keep casting them about, well, not casting them about, I'm keeping on that one spot, but I'm just going to keep casting.
You didn't cast that much yesterday for a method feeder tactic.
Oh, I was too busy filming everything, wasn't I?
No, that's all at night. Behave. That was a fish. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was a cormorant.
Okay.
It was at the corner of my eye, though. Deceiving.
I don't know, I felt like I cast a lot, but yeah, I'm going to keep casting, probably once an hour. I'm going to do them. And then keep that roving rod going about, and if I see anything, then get on it. That's the
Lovely.
plan.
You going to make sure your consistency's spot on today? Or are you going to just be
No, I'll just...
blobs of ground bait all over the place?
Yeah, well, I've baited up from here to 15 wraps all the way along. So that means if they show at any point, I've got bait on that line.
So if you get a liner, just bring it shorter.
Exactly.
Anyway, cheers for the coffee. Much needed.
Right.
Well, that's the swim topped up with about 15 more spots, just to try and introduce a bit more activity, scent trail, anything to get these fish to come back to me, because ever since the early hours, it's been very, very quiet for both myself and Lou. But before I put the last rod out, I thought I'd run you through the tactic, or the actual setup I'm using on each of the rods. Starting off with about 1.5 foot of tungsten rig tubing, just to pin that line down, give a bit of protection to the fish's scales when I'm playing them in. And that goes down to a lead clip. Now, rather than putting the bung in, which fixes the lead clip in place on the swivel, I don't put that in, so just the friction of the swivel is what hooks the fish initially, and then all of that is running, so it's ultra safe. But I've also found that in using this method, the fish don't really know how to get rid of the hook too easily, because there's no pivot point or an anchor point where they can potentially discharge the hook. So that, since I've gone over to using a running lead clip, my catch rate has gone up from hook to land ratio, shall I say. Then it goes down to a really small anti-tangle sleeve that I've actually trimmed down to just go over the swivel to stop the rig from coming off, but gives that rig loads and loads of movement, because the kick away properties actually comes from the doubled over loop of the fluorocarbon, which I'm using for the fluoro D rig. So that's kind of the anti-tangle sleeve in itself, but it gives it loads of movement around on that loop on the swivel. Probably about 8 inches in length, the rig itself, a little bit of putty just about an inch off from the hook. I like to have that there to pin the last bit down, make sure that rig sits down nice and pretty on the deck. And also I think a little extra bit of weight helps to drop the hook down into the fish's mouth when they try to eject it. Hook-wise, it's just a chod hook. That gives it a nice exit angle from the fluorocarbon. I have tied this rig up before with more curved shanks, but the fluorocarbon I'm using this time is a bit more stiff, so I need to use a choddy to get that nice exit angle from the eye. Then it's just a knotless knot whipping down the shank to give me the D, which I then put the tag end back through the eye, blob that down, it gives me the perfect D shape. On that D, I've just got a bait screw, so I can attach hook baits really quickly, and I'm just using a 15mm wafter citrus boilie on there. And then to finish that all off, just give that little bit of extra attraction and make sure that when that bait is falling down through the water, it's not falling too quickly and settles nicely on the bottom. A little mesh bag of crumbed up citrus boilie, and it seems like a very wintry type tactic. And I know we were saying last week that it hasn't really got too cold, but we have had a frost or two this week, or at least down in the West Country we did. So I thought I'd go a bit more all out visual, and it seems to be doing the trick so far. So hopefully now the sun's up, these pink baits on the bottom will be glistening and they'll come in and snaffle a few more up, I hope. Get this out and then we'll talk through the nets that we've got with us today, because as you know, this series is brought to you by CARPology, and on this session and last session, we've been using some new nets. So with us on this trip are the new Element Camo nets. This one and the one on the floor, which is the compact version. But starting off with this one, which is the one that Luke's been using, which is why it doesn't smell as fishy as mine, is a 2-piece in name, but it doesn't actually, don't look at me like that, Luke, but it doesn't actually come apart as 2. It's a retractable telescopic type thing like that. So it's perfect for boat work, if you're doing a bit of boat work or coming out in dinghies and things. If you still want to use it on the bank, it comes out like that with a nice rigid carbon fibre arm. Non-slip grip on the bottom, and it comes out to a full length of 180 centimeters, and that goes up to a nylon spreader block and the 2 fiberglass arms, which is easy as that to take apart and put back together. Now in pack down size, with the arms off and that retracted down, it's just 109 centimeters in length, so it's nice and easy to transport around. And as you saw, as I keep doing, it's quick and easy as that to transport from smallest to its longest setting. Mesh is a 6mm mesh, and it's 100 centimeters in depth. So it's a good depth for landing fish. It's not over the top so that you're dragging the bottom of the lake bed. It's perfect for just letting the fish rest in there once you've netted it, sorting out the rest of the stuff on the bank, and know that the fish is nice and safe in the bottom of that mesh. So that is the Element Camo net. And we now move over to the Compact, which is on the floor, and this is the one that I've been using. And as the name suggests, this one packs down much smaller. This one does have a section that comes off at the end, and the top section retracts down like so. If I then break off the arms, they also retract down nice and small. Packs down to just 74 centimeters in length. This is ideal for those of you that have a nice compact setup with maybe retractable rods and they have a smaller rod bag. Packs down nice and small like so, but as quick as that. Arms are back out, so you've got a standard 42-inch landing net. You've got the same nylon spreader block that we see on the other net. Quick and easy as that. 100 centimeter long deep mesh, and as you saw, retractable section, so you can use this as real close-up boat work and then put the end section on, and you've got it on its full length. Now this one's slightly shorter at 170, but in real world terms, you're not really going to notice too much. If I put them next to each other, whoop, there you can see it's a very minimal amount. So it's completely up to you. I think the main bulk of it is down to the pack down size, whether you want to go for the compact or the standard. But those are the Element Camo nets, and they come in at a price point for the compact at $86.99 and the standard at $92.99. Do you want your net back, Luke? You're not using it much, but you can have it back if you want.
Thought this was going to be the one I was going to win, but obviously not. Joe comes in right at the end and catches them all. Oh, speak of the devil.
You fought well, my friend.
I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I started well and I tailed off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's always next time, isn't there?
You said this most times. Oh, you got a leaf. I gave you that.
Could I weigh that?
If you want. So apologies we didn't go through Luke's rig, but didn't think it was really fit into.
Pretty simple. We should go for it now quickly. Basically a KD rig with a little kicker. Job done.
Good. That's a huge blob of putty. What's going on there?
It is a big
Was it a
pop-up.
pop-up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had bigger pop-ups on to start with.
That is clunky. That's why. That's horrendous.
That's why we're not going through
That's the sort of thing I find on the floor in a swim and laugh at.
Right, see you in the next one.
Cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. We did enjoy it, despite it being difficult.
Did we? Did we?
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, a good average size as well. I think 320s in the 2 trips, and a couple of upper doubles. It's been a good average size, and it seems I'm doing the outro completely by myself here. So there we go.
This whole time we've been trying not to slip over and die, and I could see myself then just taking you out, and both of us gone in. But yeah, it's been a good session. Still hard going. It's still been moody, hasn't it?
It really has. We've seen a few other people on that, again, the odd fish. So the fact that we had, how many have we had on this trip?
I think it was
6.
3 each, yeah.
Or did I have 4, didn't I?
Don't know.
I've lost count.
I think it's 3 each.
Either way, I think the final scores is the same as it was this morning, wasn't it?
It's like £101 to
101
49. But we don't need to go into that. We've all had fun.
And even if we'd done it as last week's session, this week's session, I won both. So really been a bad couple of weeks for you.
Is this why you wanted me back in this shot?
Yeah. Cheers. Please like the video if you did. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hopefully next time we catch a few more fish for the campers as well. I done my part though.
I'm being that egotistical. I can't
What?
even say my words.
Huh? Oh, your barrow strap is in the lake, by the way.
Oh, that's annoying.